Welcome to Dial M for Films. We have on the show today four creators who have rendered all introductions unnecessary. Season 2 of The Family Man released on 4th June on Amazon Prime Video. And since then, I think directors, writers, producers Raj and DK, writer-director Suparn S Varma, and screenwriter Suman Kumar have been giving interviews, answering calls, reading rave reviews, and of course, working on many exciting new things as they go through the copious praise. Raj, DK, Suman, Suparn, thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you, Smriti.
So, are you guys all knocked out?
Smriti, I love your t-shirt, by the way. Thank you.
What does it say?
Minimum woman.
Minimum. All right.
That was specially made for the show. I was so excited. This is your little gift to me. Guys, before I start talking to you about Family Man and how you created it, I wanted to talk about the new guy in the room because, Raj, DK, Suman, you go back a long way. You've written season 1 together. And, I believe that you'd already put together the Bible of season 2 before you took it to Suparn. So I love Suparn, but I want to know why Suparn, because I know you're very discerning about the material you work on and the people you work with.
It's a question for us. Why Suparn? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Suparn blackmailed DK. I didn't know, like almost blackmailed him for like
Yeah.
a couple of years.
I think I have a picture somewhere where he put a gun to my head and said, "Sign right now." No, jokes aside, jokes aside, Supan has been a friend, but that's not the reason that we would take him on this project, right? Just because he's a friend. We do have a good equation. We've been, off and on we discuss films and all that stuff, and there's a good sensibility match in that sense. And also, even when we were making a Family Man season 1, before once we'd finished the editing and everything, way before the release, also there were times when we've just called Suparn to just watch it and give his feedback. So that way, he's been a little part of season 1, while he was not part of the creating team, but he was always a part of giving his feedback and in general. So when at that point we kind of knew that we were going into season 2, that because he's already kind of a part of this world, that he could he could become a part of our team and take this whole team forward. That was the idea.
Yeah, he's got a crazy sense of humor, and it's an extremely hardworking guy and super high energy. So we always used to chat. I mean, we were chatting since Go Gone, I think.
Yeah, he's acted in Go Gone, and he keeps thinking that if he acts in our films, it's our good luck charm.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
We tried to.
He's there. I think all of you are there. So, Raj, did you do a cameo in Family Man that I have missed? Because the other 3 have.
I think I'm in a reflection somewhere.
But I do know that you jumped in with a camera. Unless and until I've got it wrong, you did jump in with a camera.
Yeah, I did cameo with cameras a lot. Yeah, quite a bit. I like doing it. So yeah, there you go. I must have shot it with myself and looked into a mirror somewhere. So
What about you? How's it been for you? Entering. I know that Suman and Raj and DK go back a long way. They worked together before. There's already a chemistry in place. But what was it like for you?
So, here's the thing. I have known Raj and DK actually not just since Go Gone, since the time they came to India. One of the writing partners has been my colleague in Rediff.com, Sita Menon. So I have known them literally from their post Flavors days. I threw Chavannis when 99 premiered in Phoenix Mills. So yeah, and played poker in their house in Bandra initially. Then they moved to Andheri, and DK and I are literally neighbors. So I think I have much more stuff to blackmail DK than just gun to his. So yeah. But honestly, here's the thing. For me, I think I have worked through my movie karma to finally find 2 people I can literally be myself with. We speak the same language cinematically, politically. For us, it's about the joy of making, cinema per se. Literally, it's that, right? They have come from, the interiors of India. I have come from the interiors of Mumbai. Well, I'm from Goregaon, so but I mean, we are people with no really lineage as such. Whether it's all four of us actually, we are people with dreams in our eyes. We all have left professions which were in the corporate world and come into the space. And for me, it's been the best experience of my life. I mean, one of the things I keep getting asked, and I'm happy to reveal to the world, the secret of Raj and DK. I mean, and I've told this to their wives on their faces, they're the best couple I know. They complete each other like so beautifully. And every time I talk or give interviews, I literally nazar utaro them because it's such a perfect jodi. Seriously. I mean, Raj is logic, is emotions. DK is logic. So anytime you have an idea, right? If it's a high concept idea, you can get to go to either of them because they're sold. They hear the words and they salivate just like me or Suman. But if it's an emotional thing, I'll go to Raj. Ki, Raj, I think she should do this. But if it's logical, Raj doesn't even think. He's like, yeah, DK will take care of it. And the best part is the security between them. If I have talked about something to Raj, the DK not present in the room, or vice versa, I don't have to worry about whether it be DK or not, or Raj or not. They communicate. They anyway talk all the time, like literally all the time. So it's a blessing, and there is no ego in the room. So when all four of us were there throwing ideas, fighting and stuff, and trying to create something nice, it just came from a space of let's create the damn best scene or episode possible. And it was sheer joy. So yeah, I'm blessed. I'm touching wood.
That's it. Question he answered it different हो गया. मतलब he changed the question only. It was about you anyway.
But listen, guys, I want to take you back, 5 years, and say and just ask you that. Listen, I was very skeptical about Family Man season 1 because we just don't do espionage well. At least I've not had a great experience. I'm talking about India, and the Family Man for me and for millions of others who are big fans of the series, it humanizes the intelligence officer in India. When you made the pitch to Amazon 5 years ago that got the show greenlit, what did the pitch docket have? What exactly was that docket that you pitched to them?
See for the benefit of people who are on the forum. This is not the way to do it, but there are better ways to do it. But in that case, it was really a chat over lunch. It was just the fact that that I think they immediately I should give it to kudos to them for seeing the vision of what we were trying to do. That imagine a de-glam version. It was a government job, pitched as a government job. A guy who has a family and he has a high pressure job, except he works for the Homeland Security, and he has to fight off the bad guys or the threats or whatever the whole thing. So when it was described that way, and that was the core of it. There was no story at that point. It was really about the person, the character, the setup, the whole James Bond from Chembur thing, and
and the tagline: middle class guy, world class spy.
Yeah, it was
that was the idea. So we were pitching it as it's going to be equal parts personal life, family, equal parts espionage and national security and action. That was meant to be the balance of it.
Yeah, that was the main thing. And then when we started giving the whole character around him, that he needs a home loan, he's living in a rented place, he needs an extra room, and he doesn't have time to eat, so he's eating on the go, the whole thing. And the kids hate him for not having a bigger car or any of that. So it is really the premise more than anything else. That was what everybody latched on. So that was it. That was the only pitch. I don't even think there was a written document at that point. And later, of course, as a formality, we had to give him a synopsis and things like that. But that's not how it is with other shows or anything else for that matter. We won't do that either. Even for feature films, we always finish a script, a bound script with all the dialogues. And usually we write it in English. So every single dialogue is there in English. So it's 100 to 120 page script that we actually give it to people and say, okay, we have a film to make. And now we need casting or who wants to produce it, or that who wants to fund it. So that's how we usually do, except for this one. And this time there was no OTT, so they were really going off of a concept and a pitch at that point.
Yeah, the medium didn't exist. The platform or the medium didn't exist. Like we are thinking of this as a mini series, right?
I actually wanted to talk about that. And Suman, of course, congratulations. आपने तो पहली बॉल पे ही छक्का मारा है. The first screenwriting experience, and you give us Family Man. So congratulations.
Thank you.
That's what I'm coming to. That back in 2016, when this meeting over lunch happened, and you pitched this concept to them, and they greenlit it, it took you guys a year to develop it, right? And at that point of time, you didn't. I know that you were. I know through interviews that you were living with the idea for a while. Raj, your uncle is an intelligence officer, but terms like beat sheets, writers' room, showrunners, they were quite alien to our industry, right? So I wanted to ask you that how did the three of you work out the workings of creating the series? And also, the three of you are friends, you know each other, right? And how did that equation kind of, I know Raj and DK, you've been working together for a long time, but Suman was coming in, he's also a friend. How did you work that equation out while exploring this new territory?
Actually, before doing, that little bit you said about this story existed for a while, what was scary, and the story actually went through a little journey, by the way. A channel, or at least a couple of channels, had approached us a few years ago and said, why don't you guys do it for TV, like regular TV? And we've never done TV before. We actually thought of it, and we even met them, and they loved the idea and stuff, and we were not sure if this is because, and then when they came back and said, sure, sounds good, so do you think you can do a 108 episode series? And we were like, what the fuck, what happened here? Oh shit. Then you realize the enormity of the world, TV world. We didn't understand it. We even had one story about some delegates coming to India, and some of them, we had a plot, but we were like, what? And then you realize, okay, this is not the time, so we held back. Then there was another great opportunity, at least two times, where this was supposed to be a film. And as we were pitching the story, we realized it was too much. And we were thinking, it's very tempting, but should we hold it back? So, a story is better suited for a series versus a film. That was a later realization, because we went through the journey, because there was no Amazon and Netflix here. So we went through this, and then we said, no, we held back. And it was down our list. It was not in our top 10 to make a film, because there was no medium to do it. So anyway, that's the precursor to it.
Yeah. When this becomes a film, it becomes very plot centric, right? Yes, you could start off saying there is this guy, he's a family man, and then you start building a plot that spans about 2 hours and has this kick-ass climax. And so you only get to see glimpses of the person, but it becomes a little more plot centric. Rarely is there a film, an action film, that's character driven or character centric. So that's one of the reasons we felt that this canvas and this character and this world has a lot more to give than a 2-hour film.
Yeah. And Suman's basically, Suman was blogging at that point.
Yes.
And
no, he had written a novel also. He's actually
written a novel. He was blogging. Yeah. He was watching birds and lots of cool stuff. And so we had, and DK and I found his blogs and write-ups very funny. In fact, they were so funny that we used to take.
Yeah. I also featured in it, by the way. So yeah. So, because it's like personal blogs, and I also featured in it.
We used to call it. I used to tell Shamli or whoever was there, so basically, listen to this, karke, we read out. Take that little joy of reading it out loud, so that everybody laughs, and the nuances of it. So we've been thinking of writing together something, and then Suman, you want to talk about it?
Thank you. Yes.
So the next t-shirt I'm getting made is this interview that I saw of Suman's. And it said that the addiction of a salary at the end of the month is the worst addiction. So,
yes. No, like Suparn mentioned, we all gave up our corporate careers at various, points in time before we took the plunge as, writers and filmmakers, in these guys' case. So coming back to Family Man, so I was about to give up, and I used to pester. The minute DK called me and said, hey, so much of detailing in your story is so funny. That's when I had the confidence that maybe I will be able to write, for films, because I knew, at that time my book was about to get published. I knew that I can write, but films is a different ball game altogether, because here you are writing for other artists to come and perform, and so it was like I learned on the job. So when I joined, and these guys, and I had to match their exacting standards of narrative building and storytelling. So I learned a lot through that, through this experience, because before that we had started working on other projects as well. I did some work for their a couple of their other movies. Now Family Man, when it came, and from day one they were very clear about it's not going to be tuxedo wearing, guns blazing and jumping off buildings. It's not that. And Raj and DK were very clear about this. And I'm a voracious reader of detective spy fiction, be it Alistair MacLean, Desmond Bagley, Tom Clancy, Robert Ludlum, or in Telugu, Madhu Babu. He used to write these pocket-sized novels where his character is called Shadow. So I have and I used to I used to read a lot, much to my parents' delight. Hashtag sarcasm. So they wanted me to become an engineer, which I clearly didn't. Good call. So anyway, so I had internalized it, and I'm a Tamilian who spent a lot of time in Andhra Pradesh. I know both languages. I am rooted in both cultures. So I started internalizing all the popular literature that I was reading. So when Family Man came about, I think it was not a conscious, thing for me. It's just that when we are, jamming and coming up with ideas, it just they were like they also know they're also from the same place where I am from. So it was easy for three of us as writers to kind of, jam and at the same time come up with a narrative with interesting character arcs and a nice storyline. And all these, I go back to your point about beat sheets, writers rooms and all that. I think we were doing it without even calling it that. So I think it's personally, I mean, I don't know about others, but personally I think it's just jargon. A bunch of storytellers sitting in a room or over a Zoom call, ideating and making creating narratives and storylines and characters. And that is what is a writer's room is. So that's the origins of Family Man. And we were all new to the long form. We were like, we did not that didn't phase us. In fact, we were like kids in a candy store, because now you can give breathing room to even secondary characters and tertiary characters. So each character kind of shines through because of this format. So there you have it.
Raj, TK, did you and Suman speak to anybody when you were starting off on this journey in terms of, because it was, like Suman said, a completely new journey, right, of creating. Did any of that happen? Did you get in touch with anyone to kind of figure out how this is done, or just the grammar of it? Of course, the narrative beats and everything
Right.
will come from you.
No, I think we see. I mean, Raj and I, when we started making films, we we kind of learned from watching other films and reverse engineering it, how to do it. So we kind of did the same thing on this because we've been watching a lot of series, and there was really nobody we could ask, right? We going back in the timeline, we were one of the first people who were actually doing this. Also, one of the first series. I mean, there were a couple of other series that eventually released before we did that because of other commitments, but we were one of the first people to get on board. And so there was nobody to ask. Nobody in India had done a series yet. So while we were hearing these words, we were just nodding our heads and saying, "Yeah, writers' room. Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll do a writers' room." And it's like, okay, does it mean writers get into a room and discuss an idea? So we kind of went with. I think we went instinctively,
You
having watched a lot of
basically,
series and made movies.
before you make any of our films, we basically play your arms around saying, "Oh my God, how do we do this? Who should we call? Maybe somebody knows, maybe he knows." These things you go through it, even for films or especially earlier films, and then the first series. You're thinking, maybe he'll know, maybe he'll know. So, but then you realize you really have yourselves, and you just have to reinvent the wheel. So, we had to kind of just look into ourselves and each other for how to create this. And maybe that is why also, even though when we see the other series, we try to break down some series and you give up after an episode because it's too much to analyze sometimes. But maybe that's why, especially Family Man, even one and two, both of them, they run a little at a film speed. They don't run like a, a, a standard series thing. If you look at a lot of series, including Homeland or House of Cards or any of these series, the great series, but they're so smart about picking their locations that in that episode, you really see 4 or 5 locations being repeated, and then the story comes back to it. The story is progressing, but it is limited to a certain geography. We didn't know the trick, nor did we think about it. So that we were just going everywhere from Kerala to anywhere possible to shoot that scene. And all the scenes were quite tight. So in fact, we realized that the content that was going in terms of plot points were maybe 4 times what would go into a series. So it was packed, and maybe that also helped in this series being more attractive, I guess. I don't know.
And wholesome. Yeah.
Yeah, but lately, yeah, I mean, yeah, same thing, same point, right? Lately, now a lot of the series internationally are more and more like this in the sense, and more like films in terms of scale and locations and all that. For example, like a Narcos doesn't run like a typical series. It feels like one mega film cinematic experience in the form of a series, right? So that's where it's going. But when we were starting out, I guess the examples he gave were a little more tailored to the TV format, but not so much now. I think this is how it's probably going to be.
Which brings me to my next question, that the geography of the show presented such an incredible opportunity to dip into the diversity of our country, right? And did the geography come first, or did you construct the geography keeping in mind that maybe it's time to create a multilingual, multicultural narrative?
No, the idea was, yeah, who was it? Yeah, take it, Suman. Go for it.
Yeah. So the idea, you're right. It is about the opportunity to showcase the diversity of this wonderful country. Yes, but it will never be actually geography first, because we are creating a landscape. Like if season 1 was a world, season 2 became a completely different. We went to a different culture, different a different story, different landscape, and so on. So season 3, and subsequent seasons will go to other. It's basically that the story first, and then the geography. Because when we are doing season 1, we weren't thinking like, which geography are we going to, which is a great thing, because I would like to go to maybe Croatia in season 3, and probably Los Angeles in season 4. But
Actually,
that's not.
Actually, I want to interrupt Suman there. I think in season 3 we're definitely going to Switzerland instead of the hot lands of
yeah. But yeah, the liberation that we felt in this format was that we the only thought going in was we don't have to let geography stop us from doing anything.
Yes,
that was the thing. Like we said, okay, let's make this movie, and this is it. That naturally the story's set in Kashmir and in Balochistan and Chennai and of course Kerala and everywhere. And the only liberating thing was, yeah, we can actually show all these languages and all these actual cultures and shoot without having to hold back, because that's the nature of the format. Yeah.
But the thing is that in India, the reason I brought up geography, of course, was, when you're constructing something, like Raj said, that, we were going to diverse locations. We were not thinking about, kind of limiting ourselves. The thing is that in India, almost every 100 kilometers, the dialect changes, the food alters, the topography is different. but we've never been able to, and I've spoken to a lot of creators, and that's why Family Man really stands out. Like, we talk about representation, inclusivity. I did one roundtable with the Malayalam industry, people from the Malayalam industry. And the thing is that language has really not been used the way it's been used in the Family Man. We start the first season. The first scene is completely in Malayalam with 2 lines in English, which are the Coast Guard warnings. How did you manage to do this in terms of treatment, language, and casting, bring about this kind of authenticity and kind of dip into different actors, and speaking their language? Because I know that that's a challenge even in terms of it being greenlit. At least that's what a lot of people have faced.
Right.
Yeah, that way the points go to Amazon, because they didn't say a word. They didn't say a single word that, come on guys, there's so much Tamil in the second season or the first season. In fact, it was opposite. I quote Vijay Subramaniam, who heads Amazon, who said that, man, when I saw that scene, we saw the premiere and we saw the first scene unfold in Malayalam. He said, like, wow, this is a true pan. This is the one show, first time, where we have arrived as a filmmaking community or like artists or whatever, that where we are accepting India as a whole, and you can put it anywhere and use the people from there and use the language and culture from there. So that is one of our biggest excitements in doing the Family Man, is the fact that you can travel anywhere with it and be very local in its flavor. But yeah, it might not be easy for all the usual pitches, but I don't know, we got lucky and nobody said a word. In fact, Tamil became so much in the second one that people actually said, like, "Arey, so much Tamil is there." We said, "Yeah, it's okay. You watch Money Heist also, so much Spanish, is there. So chalega." And you guys are very loving audience anyway. You will embrace it after the first episode.
No, but do you think there's a difference? I mean, we watch Narcos, which is in Spanish, right? So what happens when we are watching?
Also, it's freaking Narcos is like you're only reading the screenplay at the bottom.
Yeah, with all the narration is like reading a script on screen. Like some visual is there. It's like so much narration going on, speaking very fast.
My favorite meme that came out is people after Family Man. So one eye like this, one eye like this. It's high time, right? It's high time that we celebrated our languages and culture.
We are such evolved audience, and if we can consume all kinds of things, somebody has to just take that first step of anything for that matter.
And the thing about getting it right is, I think it's Rajan DK. If you've noticed, even in Go Go Gone, when the 2 characters sitting there in the living room and watching TV, the song that plays is a Telugu song. I mean, it's been
Chiranjeevi song, megastar Chiranjeevi song.
It's from Donga, the movie Donga. So it's been there, but now here it's central to the narrative now. Earlier it was like we are. I think Rajan DK saying, what, let's throw some of a pop culture in this mainstream Bollywood movie. But now this is the other language, other than Hindi, I mean, is central to the narrative. That I think I would. I mean, I'm thankful that these 2 guys, Raj and DK, are like, they stuck with it, saying, yes, let's go with it. No problem. In fact, season 1 was a smattering of Malayalam and a smattering of, Baloch. But season 2 is Tamil is like, and I'm happy, I'm not complaining, but as producers and directors and even Amazon for that matter, all of these guys played a very, very key role in making sure that the narrative stays rooted in its natural climes.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it's been wonderful for us, and that I'm not the only person who feels that way. It's been embraced, worldwide. But when you decide to do that, the work also increases, right? So what kind of work goes into, if you want to get actors from different film cultures, stay true to, the cultural authenticity, maintain that language, the way they speak, the way they live? How did you go about doing that? Because it just makes the work wider, right?
In fact, it's actually not as difficult as you think, right? Because there is a huge talent pool in other industries, especially in the South. And we just have, none of us in Bollywood and Hindi film industry have had an opportunity to tap into them. Once in a while, somebody, you pull somebody and put them in a Hindi film, but otherwise we've really not tapped into that. So it just made our, the platter larger to choose from. Suddenly we were choosing from 10 talented actors in Hindi. Now we have 10 talented actors here to choose from and 10 more there. So suddenly you're picking the cream of the crop everywhere, right? To be honest, for example, in the first season, we did have a little bit of a trouble with the casting, say, in the for the Kashmiri characters, because as an industry, Kashmiri industry has not thrived or evolved as much as other industries. So it was a little difficult in that sense. But the moment you go south, be it Malayalam or Telugu or Tamil, the industries are so evolved. There are so many actors. It's like you get to pick the best.
I also want to ask you that what happens to writing when you do that? Because you're writing dialogues in a different language. I want to ask this from Suman and Suparn, that then how do you write this? How do you build that?
In brackets, speaking in Tamil.
No,
No, it's actually again a natural extension of what we are saying, right? What would have been difficult for all of us as writers. What would have been difficult is to have all these Tamil characters in Chennai and other places speaking in a different language than the one they're supposed. Then that would have been the worst thing to do. So we would be faced with a choice of either faking it and announcing that they all know Hindi for some strange reason, or worse, you start cutting down their scenes because you don't want to put so much Tamil. So you don't have scenes with a scene of a Bhaskaran and a Deepan or a Selva and a Raji meeting. You'll start cutting down on those and compromising those characters because, one more Tamil scene, what do you do? So it actually helps the narrative that we are embracing that language. So we are showing these well-rounded characters and spending time with them and showing what they are going through without having to compromise on the language.
I mean, in a way, I think Family Man puts an end to the Bob Christo complex that Indian cinema had for a very long time. I mean, God bless his soul, but I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean, you have a white man saying Jai Hanuman and some of the best films which had, English characters speaking Hindi, or the same thing for different people from different parts of India speaking broken Hindi just to show that they are not from the heartland. That I think is hopefully over because people will not think twice now of just speaking what they actually speak.
Yeah, but
and I've seen films in the South also, right? Telugu, Tamil films where there will be this DIG from Punjab, like a turbaned Sikh, speaking in Telugu. Naku Telugu Telsu. You know what I mean? I mean, it was ridiculous from the get-go.
Exactly.
That comes from the film set during independence and pre-independence.
And I think we obviously know we didn't like it. In fact, in Tamil, there were some TV shows, TV serials, which had this, Marwadi family, Marwadi characters, Rajasthani characters, speaking in a Tamil, which it sounds like Hindi. Now one solran vandanirken naan ipo, and the Tamil, memesters and the comedians there started mocking it and trolling it, and so we know because we're rooted in that, and in the whole pop culture thing, we from day one, I think that the idea has always been to keep it real and at the same time keep it fresh. So when you're writing, first we write, like Raj said, we write our screenplays in English first. The lines are in English. We know exactly what the lines are. So when the dialogue writer, in this case, in season 1 it was Sumit Arora, and season 2 Hindi, Suparn took the task up of writing Hindi dialogues. And we also had a Tamil dialogue writer, is Manoj Kumar Kalaivan, and he came in because there's a different dialect being spoken. So we needed someone to get that dialect right. And I know Tamil movies which don't get the dialect, this particular dialect right. And like you said, every 100 kilometers, not just the topography or changes, even the dialect changes. So we are very particular about it, and I think it worked out in the end. And at the same time, we personally, for me, I'm happy that people are appreciating this. The effort that we took in making sure that it is. We kept it real. We want to keep it real. So I think people are appreciating it, and that's gratifying.
No, they're really appreciating it. And the thing is, it's shocking that it hasn't been done till now. And then, even with the sector that watches world cinema, I think there is a kind of a mental block as far as watching other language films in India, subtitled goes. But I hope Family Man completely changes that, because for me it was actually spectacular to just see something like this unfold on screen. So I want to move to some of the most talked about elements in the show, and I would request you to break those down for us. For example, the long single takes that everyone's talking about. How do you decide which sequences will work as long single takes, and how do you plan them?
It's again one of those freedoms. Somebody sharing it. It's one of those things that OTT offered again. It's one of those, as say, I think OTT is such a filmmaker's medium that you get to experiment a lot with a lot of things, including language, like you said, and the way you want to shoot scenes, or even the way you want to frame, and the lighting and everything. So one of the biggest things that is the more obvious ones is the action sequence. You don't get to see a 13-minute episode, 13-minute action piece, first of all. In films, you have to be crisper. Even when you shot action before in films, later somebody watches and says that is too long, and we counted it like 3 minutes. So the idea for this came, when we wrote it, it wasn't there yet. When we were sitting and discussing how to shoot certain scenes and how to frame a few scenes, the Kareem's in season 1, the Kareem shooting bit comes in episode 3 or something. It was the one where we were discussing, and we thought there was a whole thing laid out as how you would shoot it, and what the idea of the choreography was kind of there. But we realized, why not shoot this from one point of view alone, and hence the camera went into the car. The camera goes into the car as Kareem and his friends are driving, and you see their chaos, their tension. And as you're going, you turn around, you see cop cars there, you come down. So that now suddenly became something so exciting that even if it took longer to make it's longer on screen, the suspense and the tension held it so well that it became a motive. It became where as we were shooting, we knew this was, even before we shooting, we knew this is so exciting to be there, not to just not a show off technique, but it worked so well because that guys didn't know what was happening to them. They were just going to do a certain protesting, whatever stuff, and the way they're trapped, the way they're running, and then once you start choreographing the moves, it is very satisfying to shoot action that way and to pull it off. It becomes now a team effort. Everybody's up. The entire unit is excited at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. because we're still shooting and they want to get this right. If you miss it, you go back and restart everything, and everybody's on walkies. All the actors are in place and stuff. So yeah, the idea was to how do you present action a little differently that you get the impact, the same impact or better, and still emotionally be involved in it. So that was the idea behind it, and it's DK's favorite thing to do. So whenever one take comes, DK jumps up and he's like marshalling the troops and not listening to anybody, even if it is chalega sir, thoda matlab wahan pe thoda adjust kar sakte hain. Say no, let's do it again. So it's
yeah. Actors, yeah. Some of the actors hate me. Manoj was like so tired at the end of like that final thing where you could see it. You could literally see in them, him and Selva in that fist fight. They could hardly get up. They were fighting so hard they could hardly get up because they've already done a few takes and they were really tired, physically exhausted. It's
like, Selva, just die. It's okay, give me.
मर ही जाता हूँ तो no, but also because the thing is we are talking about it, but the people who are watching it, like a lot of people who are watching it don't process it technically, right? So obviously these are not done just as stylistic devices. They're done to invoke a certain kind of feeling in the audience, and it really, really works. But isn't it more expensive to do this? I mean, I'm just getting into the nuts and bolts of it because of the people who are participating with us. That when you decide to do this, there's a fair amount of planning. There's a fair amount of risk also, and I'm sure that it takes the cost up. Does that happen?
Yes, it is. It is. It is. See, that's why it's. I mean, you have to pick and choose and pick your key sequences to do it. And yes, it is expensive. I mean, sometimes in your climax, you might choose to have a helicopter and blow it up. Of course, it's going to be expensive, right? Or crash a few cars. It's going to be expensive. So in that sense, the shooting of a sequence like this, because there's so many days of rehearsals, choreography, everything goes, and like I would say for this climax, we spent approximately a week doing the climax, but we were actually not shooting the whole week. We were only shooting on the last couple of days because the rest of it is just rehearsing without camera, with camera, without actors, with actors, everything. So you finally get to do it in your one, continuous take. So it is expensive. But again, like Raj was explaining, right? This is not so much a gimmick, right? So, but for the film enthusiasts, for the filmmakers here, or people who are very into the craft of films, they notice immediately, hey, listen, it's been a minute and the camera hasn't cut, and then they're looking at it from a technical aspect. And for a lot of filmmakers like myself, when I'm watching a scene like this, it gets taxing because I'm afraid the camera will fail somewhere or something will go wrong. But that aside, for the audience, what it does is it becomes a first person experience,
Exactly.
whoever the camera is with, right? The camera starts with Manoj Bajpayee's character, and the audience is only seeing what he is seeing. If there is somebody lurking there in a typical action sequence, you might show that guy lurking there as a separate shot, a guy waiting there to take a shot. So the audience knows that, but the character doesn't know. But in a single shot sequence, the audience doesn't know what the character doesn't know. So it becomes a very first person experience. Manoj Bajpayee is walking, somebody gets shot in front of him. Audience also feels the same shock he feels. And when the camera goes to the next character, they kind of go with that character. So it puts them in the scene. That at least that's how we felt when we were shooting it and watching it. That it puts the audience in the scene, like they are actually in it as it's happening.
Also, I mean, there have been
so it's worth it
in the past, but fact is, we are a gaming generation, right? Where you are in first-person shooters and stuff like that, and shooting single takes gives you that immersive first-person experience, which is quite unique in that sense.
I have to ask the Lonavala question. I have a different question. Before, I have my own theories about why we don't know what happened in Lonavala.
I'd like to hear your theory.
No, but I want to ask you that what was the intention to not let us know?
See, we're not actually hiding anything, right? We are giving hints, we are dropping hints as to what's happening, and you have a fair sense of what could have happened or what are the alternatives and what are the options, right? So I'm letting it be that way. Also, at some point in the writer's room, we decided the audience will find out when Shrikant finds out. So right there, so there is a sense, you get a sense of something happened. Shrikant also has a suspicion, a sense of something happened, but you will find out when Shrikant finally finds out. Is that a good answer?
I actually want to ask you a question to this, Smriti. Here's the thing. Season 1 ended with Delhi almost dying. What happened to them? They want to know what happened in Lonavala. And that's symptomatic of us, right? Just think of it for 1 second. If it was Shrikant and Saloni's character alone in a room, nobody would even bother to ask, what did Shrikant Tiwari do in Lonavala? Just because it's a woman, everybody wants to know. And I think that's a question that should never be answered forever as long as we run. I mean, why should it be answered? Why can't Suchi be her own woman and have her own life and her privacy? I mean, that's my personal take.
Brilliant point.
No, but I also feel that it doesn't really matter what happened in Lonavala. Their marriage is very frayed. So, that's what I felt I didn't know that it would become a thing, but it's such a thing now that everyone's kind of waiting. It's become the main hanger. And I know that Raj said it in a couple of interviews that there were 5 top questions we thought we left you with, but what happened in Lonavala is not the question that I thought is going to get asked. So I want to also say that it's a very precarious world, the world of Family Man. and you've stayed true to the unpredictability that it comes with, which also means that you've sacrificed characters that you made us fall in love with, whether they were antagonists or they were on the right side of the law. Um, Pasha, Milind, Musa, Raji. Um, when do you decide that it's time to let go of a character?
Again, there is no plan as such, then it'll become. I haven't seen Game of Thrones, one of the very few people, the last person on earth who has
Me neither.
purity. Two people haven't seen it. Rest of the world have seen it, but I hear this stuff happens a lot. So I don't think we should plan ahead. Every time you plan, even small details like, you sneak in certain things, saying that, I want to say something here, Karke, you sneak in a certain thing. It gets caught. Even in edit, we know smaller things that we would have deliberately done it while doing an organic sequence. We would have said, like, what, we should also do this. I said, why? Because, maybe there's a little point behind it. And so they get caught. So I don't think we should, I don't think we tend to say, let's see who all we can kill.
No.
It's really, let go. Like, for example, as soon as they saw Kareem, Priya, whoever was there on the set, they were like, "Are you crazy? This guy is dead." In the first season, oh my God, such a good-looking boy.
I
Okay,
know.
still such a good-looking kid. Let him be there. No. So it happens, but what to do? I mean, Pasha was the hardest. They really
Pasha was the hardest. That was a low blow, guys. Just sparking it with you guys. I was like, no, you can't do this to him. You can't.
No, but it also brings a sense of their life. Right? And you actually said this as part of your question also. This is an unpredictable world. It cannot always be that, okay, the good guys always win and the bad guys always lose. It is unpredictable. And this also brings a sense of who is next, right? I mean, JK came very close.
Yes.
So
No, and what Raj said is that I'm just adding to it, is that when we are building, so we have the Bible, we have the story, we know the landscape, and then we get down to the scripting of it. We never decide saying, hey, you know what, we should kill that character in this character. It's never the case. In fact, I mean, you'd be surprised that in one of the drafts, Umayal dies, the cop. But then we realize that there's no point in. I mean, we didn't. She's better, or the character is better off alive. And it's an organic path that leads up to a character's fate in the story. It's never planned, because it's unwieldy to plan something like that, I guess, unless you are a Game of Thrones aficionado.
The fun part, right? Raj, DK, and Suman are coming from a space of having created these characters. They have lived with them for 1.5 years.
Yes.
Then they'll unleash me in the room. And I come from a very bloodthirsty lot. Like, there's this children's game, right? Where, if you are touched, you die, and then somebody else comes and touches you, come back to life. So the first draft of the pass was initially, okay, Umayr dies, Milind dies, JK gets killed.
He killed everyone.
Suman like, no, wait, Shrikant and JK, excuse me. I'm like, I get the love, I understand it. So it was my initiation.
Yeah.
So it was
also it's a lot easier to kill people in Game of Thrones because you never really die. You could die in the season and come back in the next. They've done that now. Yeah, but for us, if you kill them, they're gone for good,
They've
right?
gone the Bollywood way. So उनका reverse में चल रहा है. So no, but it's a hard thing to do, not because of anything else. I mean, I guess you guys are creators, but we as Indians are not used to death not neatly wrapped in, the closure is not there. Like Pasha was actually a shocker for me because, and the thing is that you see that in other things, but you haven't seen it on screen here. And then there's nothing that precedes it or follows it or anything of that sort.
What's amazing is quick little thing about character is that Pasha wasn't the most fleshed out character because we knew he wasn't lasting the whole season already. We knew he was somebody who came in, helped, and died in that process. But a few bits, just a few lines from him made him so lovable. It wasn't volumes, pages. If you look at the number of lines he speaks, would be like 20 lines, 15 lines. The one line in the bar where he talks about his backstory, things like that. Really, this scene is where it hits you and you love him. Boom! Sometimes that's all is enough for you to fall in love with the character. And credit to the actor for pulling off, for giving that aura of a no nonsense cop. That you are like, fuck, this is a dude, man. This guy is like so cool. So he owned it. So together you feel much worse than what we felt when we were writing it. Maybe 30% more.
In the way they shot it. So when I saw the edit, for me, I fell in love with Pasha because there's this moment they shot where after interrogation, Manoj and Pasha just have a silent cigarette moment. For me, that was cinema magic, right? It's not scripted per se. It's that moment. It is, you're there, and those silences is something that I think came again in season 2 as well. I mean, that was one of the most cinematic moments between Pasha and Manoj for me. Like, I fell in love with it.
Also, what you get other people to say about the character also sets up that character, because I love that line where he says कि ये undercover है, ये तो साड़ी में भी commando लगेगा.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's so true. Because Pasha's this guy, you can't hide him. He literally like embodies that.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you 2 last questions before I, open the house out for questions from the participants. We've not been. You guys are from the South, not Suparn, but the 3 of you. I also know that, with the industries, other industries than the Hindi film industry, there's a lot of distrust, between the film cultures. Did you have to work on that? How did you build trust where they felt that they would be treated right and, their roles would be fleshed out? There won't be any caricature, building that will happen that one is very afraid of.
You're asking us?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I would contrast it with when we came to Mumbai to start our careers. We didn't know anybody. So we were just 2 guys who knew 3 languages between us, Telugu, Tamil and English. So our Hindi was broken. Our Hindi was from TV, whatever we understand and stuff. So,
Matashri, aapko shatakoti pranam. Like that we were speaking. Because I learned my Hindi from watching Ramayana.
So it
would have been fun to see you guys at parties at that point of time.
Parties, everybody speaks English.
Yeah, people went like, bro, and they were like, Bhatashri.
Everybody was speaking English. My point is that we never thought of it like that. We always thought India is one big country, and then you go from here to there. We never saw the divide much till sometimes we saw it told to our faces. Only then did we realize, oh, we are handicapped here. Oh, we are non-Hindi here. Oh, they're looking at us with a lens that, oh, you're from South India. Oh, you're from America. What do you know about Hindi, or what do you know about Bombay and Mumbai and all that? So only when the questions were posed to us, we were like, really? We thought we are all, we're all flexible people. We're all people, all the same, diverse country together, mashed into one country all over the place. So only then we realized, and jabs and a little few jabs initially and things like, no, that's not how it is said. I know how it is said, and an actor would do it differently. Only then we realized that divide of that little, and I guess it's human nature to resist something that's not you, I guess. So we were, in fact, doubly cautious, or like not cautious, cognizant and aware of the fact that when we are pulling somebody in from a culture we don't understand so closely, let us try and get somebody around us or who understands more, or let me understand that bit more, so that we are not making a caricature out of him. Like, you don't get a character from anybody, for that language, and then make him look like exactly that. The most typical way of doing it is what we tend to do, so that they don't look like stereotypes or caricatures. And if you take even these Tamil characters in season 2, these are not the usual guys you see. Muthu, for example, is a stud. Everybody's in love with Muthu. He's like Pasha of season 2. And the way he's acting and the way he's at it with Manoj next to each other, taking down going down in the climactic sequence. So, that is the non-stereotypical. We didn't even consider like, because he's Tamilian, he should be like this. We just went with the characters. So what we kind of faced or saw, we made sure that, it's like if you get dragged, you don't want to be the worst dragger in the next year. Well, you can be the better guy.
You can be the better guy. You made that choice.
Yeah. No, speaking of this, first season when I remember, like when we were casting for the Malayalam for the role of Musa, right? Neeraj Madhav, he's a reasonably well known star there, doing romantic films like a sweet boy. And so when saw a couple of clips of him and said, this sweet looking romantic guy from the Malayalam industry would probably be the best Musa, right? He doesn't even look the part, but he's correct for the role. So, of course, Mukesh Chabra, our casting director, he had sent his audition, and then we, sent him the scenes, whatever, told him, and then he was a little worried. He didn't know what he was doing, and he said, "Can I talk to somebody from the production?" So I was expecting maybe a first AD or somebody will talk to him about the role. But I called him, right? I spoke with him, and then I told him, listen, this is a really good role, and you don't have to change what you know. Like, learn a little bit of Hindi is required, but whatever Hindi you speak is fine. And whatever Malayalam, of course, you can speak Malayalam. That's going to be fine. So just play the role like you would play it. You don't have to suddenly start learning Hindi or anything like that. And he was actually getting married in a week, or it was right at that time when this casting call was happening. He was actually getting married, and in between all the wedding preparations, he was doing this call and sending a different audition and stuff like that. And of course, once he came here, that's when he realized, oh wow, I just get to act and not try to be or learn something else or do something else.
Yeah. You know the true story of what really happened?
Yes, Suparn, tell us.
He sat on his producer chair, had a glass of wine, a cigar in his hand, and said, "This role will change your life."
See, we didn't know that at that time, but I said it's a pretty good role. You've never been a bad guy in your life. This is a bad guy, and he's like, yeah. So do you want me to shave my head and cut my hair short? I like, no, keep all your curls initially. We'll shave your head later.
Also, any character that in their filmography, forget the main characters, even the smallest of characters, a character that has one line, two lines, they become memorable, and that is a testimony to to how we approach characters, like in the sense that a character that plays 2-3 scenes, the whole country went mad about it in season 2. So in terms of we ourselves, whether it is other language characters or Hindi characters, our approach, at least Rajan DK's approach, has always been that how do you make this more relatable? How do you get people to emotionally invest in? So because now you are saying, right, now I hate you guys. I've heard this many times. I hate you, man. Why the hell would you kill Pasha, such a nice guy, as if he's their neighbor,
Yeah, we know Pasha.
So I mean, that
but
is
you feel that.
and that's a win for us. If somebody is calling me in the middle of the night saying, "Bastard, I hate you. How can you kill Pasha of all the people, or millions for that matter?" It's a win. I'll take it. I'll smile and say, and that's the thing. If you look at any of these movies and the humor, like for example, Raj is such a designer that he knows exactly where to put. Like all of us have sense of humor, but I would say that Raj has that that sense of humor, that edgy, that quirky sense of humor, which at least I don't have it. In the scene where Srikanth Tiwari says, "If you are a real man, untie me," and he says, "Mujhe mard bane ka koi shauq nahi." I mean, that line is, to have that joke there in the middle of a single shot, intense action sequence, that says a lot about, I think, Rajan DK, more than anything else, saying, that I think should answer all your questions about how do you make characters, three-dimensional, all that.
Okay, one last question, which is, to me, The Family Man was an impeccable example of dissent. In the current scenario, the kind of choices you've made on the show gave space for different perspectives to play out and create empathy. Do you feel you will be able to continue to create this magic moving forward with the series?
Yeah.
We should, right?
That would be
Can
such
I
a.
camouflage what I'm asking more? You know?
Are we confident about pulling
Yes, I
off another
know.
season? That's the summary of the question, right? That's like a pompous ass answer we can give. Yes, we are. There is no fucking way.
Well, you know,
There is no
Will be
way.
bigger, better, and yeah, huh.
That is the fear that arises after the euphoria. Like, oh my God, season 2 is better than season 1 is what everybody is saying. That is an achievement that we were hoping for. Not like you plan it. And then so the ones that is hitting you, the second question is like, how the hell are we going to do another season like this? So we just have to crack
Yeah,
our
no,
head.
but no, I'm not as scared as everybody else because I think we've created a world and the characters that people already love. So it's we'll take it forward. And so far we've been doing everything organically, right? We've not been calculating and saying, okay, season 2 we're gonna make it better than season 1 was not a planned move. We just made the season, and so season 3 also will make it, and we'll let people debate how good it is or if it's better or not. But yeah, we're just gonna stay organic and stay true to it.
Because a lot of people, I mean, there is a lot of clamping down of voices that is happening in our country, and people keep referring to Iranian cinema. And for me, Family Man was an example of that because it doesn't take sides, but it in the choice of the antagonist and the choice of the things that you want to touch on, and something as simple as even the startup, that Suchi and Arvind, and of course you, DK, you're the
Yeah,
partner.
no.
Um,
Nobody's talking about my role only. Everybody's
yeah,
talking about.
I said this at the beginning. I was like, I love the fact Suman is there, and everybody in my team was, I think we saw Suman in that scene. He's the guy who's been. I asked Suman only, Suman, are you there? Like, tell us. And
Suman
look
is
at
not just there, he's beating Imran Hashmi at his own game. But
oh God, guys, thank you.
I think oh my God, there you go. Happy birthday,
Look
Suman.
at there, you go. Happy birthday, Suman.
So I'm just saying that, even the choices that you made, the kind of things that have been spoken about and kind of left there for people to, take away. Do you think, and I think that makes Family Man very relatable. It also gives it depth. Do you think you'll be able to do what you managed to do in season 1 and season 2? My question was with regard to that.
Yeah, I mean, we cannot do the same thing. That's the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay,
have to do
so
something different that
Yeah.
has the same impact. Obviously, we cannot. Yeah, it cannot be a revisiting and rechurning of
What we
anything that we've
can
done in
do,
season 1 or 2. Yeah.
correct. What we can do is stay kind of true to go back and see how we started season 1 and see how we started there. Go back there and see if we are being true to it and see the balance and the original thoughts with which we started. Because season 2 was also written untainted in a weird way,
Yes.
thankfully. So we'll go back and see where we started. Number 1. Number 2, we would learn a lot from the feedback. This is the first time we're going to be getting so much feedback that we will have to look at anything that makes logical sense, and there is a certain theory behind whatever people are saying as to why this worked, why this didn't work, why this worked so very well. So we are knowledgeable from that. You can become wise from other people's wisdom. No, you can become knowledgeable from other people's knowledge.
but you can't.
And become wise from other people's wisdom. But we will be knowledgeable about that. And the other
हार
thing
के
is
जीतने वाले को बाजीगर कहते हैं.
जो जीता वैसे कहता है इसकी. So
So here that is why that is why Raj, Suparn, myself, we all have an edge over Suman. क्योंकि we had lost at some point. हम हार के जीत रहे. सुमन कभी हारा ही नहीं. साला first show लिखता
बाजीगर
है.
पहले दिन से.
Arey, that's the thing. Like,
What is this here?
you're so lucky. You have back-to-back, success and family. I'm like, Arey, so I struggled somewhere else before I came here. Thanks to you guys.
where did you struggle? You're watching birds happily in mountains. How is that a struggle?
And then he decides, you know what? I'm gonna write something, and he starts writing, and it becomes this. I'm like, oh, wow.
I know. Wow.
Yeah, so
Well
we'll
done,
do.
guys.
Anyway, we'll do that. Finishing that quickly so that others can ask questions. Is that One is that, and the third thing is to we can possibly do the thing that everybody is expecting us to do. That bit has to be a little different, otherwise it'll be like regurgitating what in a way. So that's going to be the toughest part, not doing it for the sake of it, but also not doing the obvious, so that there is something fresh. I think if we crack that third piece, because rest of it, like DK said, we have lovable characters, we know what their traits are, we can write something fresh for them. But if we crack that third bit about doing a little more than what is expected, then I think we can have a crackling third season.
तो अभी लिखा नहीं है.
We have a version of the idea, and we have a second version now. Now we're going to start writing in maybe in a few weeks we'll start.
In Hollywood they have a term called jump the shark. Like this is usually used in the context of long-running television shows, and the idea is after so many seasons, the writers run out of things for the hero to do and still surprise you. Like in the 12th season, how is the hero going to surprise you? So they make him jump the shark, like do something so ridiculous, right? So yeah, hopefully we won't get there. We'll wrap it up before we get there. Yeah.
Okay, I'm opening the house out for questions. Can I request everyone to put on their cameras, please?
Oh, there are cameras too. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
This is the room. These are the lovely people who signed up for your session, and they're here today to ask you questions. Guys, I'm going to try and take as many questions as possible. If I can't take the rest, there's a lot of material available. You can also send us the questions and we can send that across to the writing team. Can I request Sumedh Shinde to be unmuted, please?
Hello.
Hey, Sumedh, go for it.
Hi. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So actually, there's a lot to tell, but I'll just move on with the question. I would like to ask all the writers involved. I would like to make a statement that in the Family Man, the antagonist point of view is very prominent. Is almost going parallel to the protagonist perspective. So, considering that, I would like to ask if the perspective of the antagonist was so prominent, why wasn't a grey character established who could operate closer to the audience psyche?
What's the last line?
Like why wasn't a grey character established who could operate closer to the audience's psyche?
Why wasn't there a grey character?
Yeah, a grey character.
I mean, they're all grey characters, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
everybody was
Yeah,
grey.
yeah, but like Srikanth is with the law. Raji is a terrorist, and what if there was a character which would stand in the middle of those two sides?
See, I think we didn't think of them as black and white at all. So you just define them as being, one is on law side, one is the T word. We haven't even used the T word for anybody. The idea is everybody is a character.
Yeah.
Right. So once you are that, and you have you are well-rounded and you are getting into their lives, so they're all people. Now, who do you want to side with and who do you want to support as audience? Who do you feel for it's your thing. I'm leaving it to you. I'm not telling you how to feel for either of them, nor am I labeling each of them as good and bad. You know what I'm saying? Srikanth is maha flawed. There is
absolutely.
We can't even list 5 good things about him, except that he's super efficient.
Unless you start counting. Yeah, unless you start counting his flaws as his good stuff. Oh, he lies in a moment. I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Actually,
even his wife lists that as a positive. But I'm pretty sure it's a negative.
Yeah, sure.
उसने तो माँ के बारे में भी जोक कर दिया इंडिया में, अब तो कर सकते हैं.
And this daughter is at stake, and now he's asking what is happening there while he's checking on the daughter. He's not the greatest father, husband. Why do you think Suchi is so complexly screwed in her head? Because for him everything else seems to matter. So the balance is off in his head. You won't want a dad like Shrikant Tiwari, and no wife will be happy with a person like Shrikant Tiwari, but he's still a lovable guy because there's so many gray shades that you can identify with, because none of us are black and white.
Thank you. Can we unmute Vishesh Gandhi, please?
Yeah, hi. Thank you.
Hi, Vishesh.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So my question basically comes out of your filmography, which is like, how is the process of creating a web series is different from creating a film? And also, I'd like to know your views on the censorship policies, which has come down now. So, in terms of that, also, did the writing or the direction changed as compared to season one?
You see the long questions? I have a.
Exactly. 3 questions in one. Yeah.
I'll just show
Sorry.
you. I'll tell you what. I'll make it more interesting and show you something that we wrote. Right? Can I share screen?
Yeah, please do.
So that it'll, because the writer's room. So I thought I'll just go focus on the writer's bit. So we write tons of shit, correct? And then so we have this. We use this tool called Scrivener. Okay. For example, this is our folder where, and can you see it?
Yes, we can see it. We can see it.
So there is something called, we write characters out. You know, if you see this Atharv and Dhriti and everybody has, characters, we write it out. And this I'm just taking it as a general question answer because Smriti said show them something. So I'm showing I'm showing my laptop. Anyway, so these things, and if you go into treatment, we write a lot of stuff initially. Okay, like I'm picking this file called TFM 14 Jan, the first season latest test. That's like one of the versions, I guess. So if you go inside this, what we've done is it's like a fifth draft.
Okay.
And if you look at episode 1, it's called The Family Man, and then we have divided it into a prologue, a teaser prologue, where this was a prologue then. It was a little different at that point. Then there is Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4. We divide it into our acts, our kind of acts, where you would, each episode has that thing. So you start off with a prologue that kind of teases you, that attracts you in. Then you go into an Act 1 where we have these scenes, his mornings, his chores, the whole deal.
Wow.
And then we set it up. And then the plot point begins when Sharma tells them about the recruits. So it is, each scene is written out so much. There's a lot in each scene that we are writing about the story. So that way we are much more cleaner in terms of act 1 act. So there is a progression. This is also a cleaned up document, by the way. It's not even a document that, it's not the first document. Before this, we have other scriveners. I'm sure, I don't know if I can find it, but all these are various versions of it over 2016 to 2019 or 18 we have for the first season. So earlier versions will be full of points, full of ideas. That's all over the place. That will be grouped under each story arc. This is the cleaned up version where we go for each episode. We have divided them into this. These go up on the walls also, but this is such a interesting way of doing it. I can just go to Act 3 and say like, this is what is happening home. We can note it. We go back and say, okay, I put an icon for it. Maybe it doesn't make sense. So we go back to Act 1 of this, change it. So this is a great tool. One of the ways we tend to do most of it. And then, yes, you can also do things like, we have research. Under that, we'll have tons and tons of articles or various things that we're inspired from. So I just wanted to give you a quick look on, the more organized you are, the better it is for for series world especially.
Thank you for sharing that, Raj. That is wonderful. Can we unmute Rohit Trivedi, please?
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Rohit. Go for it.
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for selecting me. I loved Family Man. It is, I think, the best series so far. It's beautiful. I'm an actor, so my question is related to acting. When actors approach you in terms of character sketches, because I think they must be needing a lot of help from the directors and writers as well. So this question is especially addressed to Mr. Raj and DK sir. When actors approach you in terms of character sketch, how do you approach? Like, how do you talk to them? How do you define each character, or do you let them be as they want to do? And there is a little bit of improv that is allowed on the set. Thank you so much, sir.
DK, how was it
Improv.
with you?
Sorry?
How was it with you as an actor is what he's asking. Huh. When you approached me, what did I do? How did I tell you to do?
No. See, I was forced to do the role. So I don't think he's talking about me also in general, but yeah, the reason I was cast in the role was a different reason. The actor bailed out at the last minute, and we had to either shoot or cancel the shoot. So I had to step in.
Same here.
Go on, DK.
No, what is? Sorry, I kind of missed the
Question
question.
basically is that no, we have it written. The script reads out. So the scenes, we give out the scenes to them, and so they read out, they understand. We also have a team, either me or DK or Suparn or Suman or even our DA. Some of them explain depending on, we have like some 120 roles. So we divide up, and where we explain the roles to them most of the time, and you give it to them, and most of the time you're also picking the right person for the right role. So it's usually visual. When you see the person, you realize, I don't want a typical cop versus I don't want a typical student, maybe somebody else for this. So it's really sitting with the casting director. You figure out who might surprise you a little bit. Not everything should be a surprise. Then there is no surprise. You go for right people for the right thing, and then we let people improvise a lot, if they are up for it. Like, for example, the best example is Kaustubh, the guy who plays the boss. He came in with a lot of confidence. We've never worked with him before, no workshop with him before. We just had a quick read, and he knew the lines, and he was looking correct, and we said, let's go for it. That's it. And then he requested, saying, can I do a take with a little bit of improv? He said, what are you going to do? So he said, I want to do this. And I said, oh, you want to do the Wolf of Wall Street? And he said, like, yes, kind of a nod for it. And, I'll do it in my way, because everybody knows this scene. So I said, it's fun to take on certain tropes and certain famous things. You do a little nods to your favorite directors sometimes and all that. So he said, okay, let me do it. We saw him do it. It was so fucking hilarious. And there was so much confidence with which he did it, that we started now improvising it. He was just supposed to be slapped and stopped. But we said, we actually put him across the conference table. It wasn't part of the original design, and said, Manoj, can you reach out and pull him across the thing? Even if it looks a little over the board, it's so organic, the way the actors played, that we had to figure out how to pull the guy. You can't pull a guy across the table easily. So, you're almost giving a lift in the back. So then, whoop, he comes up to him and he does this whole thing. So if actors are great, they get a lot of room to improvise, and that's what we thrive on.
Yeah.
It was very
as long as they become the character, then anything they say, anything they do becomes valuable.
And also, good directors always do this, because what you write. I always give this example of saying you cannot write in your action. And he raised his eyebrow and looked at him with anger simmering in his eyes. The first question the actor will ask you is, how can you tell me how to emote my anger? So you only write Srikanth Tiwari is angry, or any character is angry. So and that's the beauty of cinema, right? It's basically a director. Good directors always know that I'm going to get this good actors. There is written, of course, the central narrative, everything remains the same. But what is it that how can I elevate this? How can I make it better than its current form? And that's where improv is a given in cinema, especially especially in OTT, where all characters are doing so much more than in a normal feature. Improv is, we call it improv, but I think that's the way it should be. Good directors will always embrace this, what Raj and DK do, which I've seen. I've had the best seat in the room to watch these things unfold.
And he also benefited from the improv, right? When he gets slapped around by that character, he said, "Sir, it's my birthday." That's actually improv.
Talking about Suman's scene in motel.
I'm thinking about Suman in the
Suman
motel.
also improved by saying that I want to take my shirt off. I said, go for it, man, improv.
No.
Can we please unmute Raghav Goyal, please?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah.
go for it, Raghav.
So, lots of love to you guys and lots of love to the show. So, my question was regarding the writer's room and how sort of the initial conversation and the starting sessions, how the writer's room sort of, came across and what was the process like, and how did you guys sort of navigate through the creative differences that came across while, both the seasons?
Suparn, you want to take that?
Sure. We decided whoever wins the argument buys each other a beer. I mean, the amounts of beers I think we've had is quite substantial. Luckily, Dulali is right down there. No, seriously, honestly, here's the thing. I think it's the best idea wins because everybody has ideas to kind of, amalgamate. And at times, we are coming from different spaces but trying to say the same thing. So it's seeing that balance and seeing that scene in a similar view and building on that per se. And when, so here's the thing. There are two kinds of writers' rooms. One where a writer starts off by saying, okay, here's a bad idea, but, and then says the idea. The other is where you just say the idea. In the first room, you're coming from a space where you are not very sure or confident of the reaction of the other person. You are scared a ball is going to come hurling at you, so you're all wearing helmets. And that's not a very conducive way to ever start off a conversation in a writer's room. In our writer's room, it began with, okay, so guys, here's what I think. And, or you know what?
No, or a lot of times, like Supan goes, I have a brilliant idea, here it is. And you're like, it's not that brilliant, it's okay.
No, I think it's like what I've seen is usually there is this, this aura around, directors and especially directors. And I would say that, my friends who have met Rajan DK said, hey, I thought this is Rajan DK. How come they are like normal people? I'm like, because they are normal people. And they don't take, I think an art director once told me long back, he said, greatness is also about not taking yourself too seriously. And I think my friends here are the great examples.
Let's turn the focus back on writing.
I actually, that's really interesting what Suman is saying, but I just want to know, like, Raj and DK, especially for the two of you, this is a really, really, this is that one defining moment where, things are going to change going forward. It's brilliant. The success is great. And, the kind of love that you're getting for your work. But does it also scare you? Because, in the last many years that you've been working, you have very, very decidedly done things that only speak to you, done things to that, dance to your own beats. Do you also feel that this is a turning of a corner and the struggles will become different now?
In a lot of ways, yes, right? I mean, the one thing we have consistently done from our, for better or worse, from our first film has kind of been sticking to how we would make films or how we would write characters or whatever, that little quirk or something that we bring, we've always stuck to it. And sometimes it's come across as fresh and sometimes it doesn't work. We've had our share of failures, right? But I think, I mean, without sounding pompous, but there is a little bit of pride in the sense that we just kept doing what we were doing. And like you said, there came a point, I think it kind of came around, like a revival came around at the time of Stree, when suddenly our kind of humor was working and the quirk was actually paying off big dividends, right? It became a blockbuster. And maybe a few years ago, or maybe at a different time, the same film may not have worked. So we were just embracing it, and Family Man was one more step further, and the season 2 and everything. So yeah, in a lot of ways,
it was always that thing that was thrown at us, there was always a consolation prize that comes when a movie didn't work earlier, where somebody calls and says, a lot of people say, your movie is ahead of your time, man. Shit, this is like, I said, like, oh, thank you so much. Yeah, sure. So, and they'll come back now and say, if that movie releases now you should see how much it's going to be released. It's okay. It's part of the journey. The idea is that, yes, we want to think ahead of time. And if it's too ahead of time, what do I do? I mean, that's still a compliment in a weird way, I guess. So it's okay. We've been I think filmmakers' freedom is what I feel I attribute this successes that we've had last, I think it's like from Stree onwards, is the fact that you kind of go back to your roots and think out of bounds and don't have any parameters or boundaries around you. You just start experimenting and will go back to what you love. Stree was a ridiculously crazy idea that would have even flown otherwise. Like, it was like a go on level, where you just go put it out and say, this is what the film is about, and it works tremendously well. And then we take a tiny bet on a small movie called Cinema Bandi, which is like, again, no faces, no heroes, just a realistic film made with like 10 people. Go with it. So what? And people are like, oh my God, you're going to put your names on this tiny film. It's okay. The idea is we would never explore otherwise, because you have Family Man, you're the Family Man makers. It's chalega. I mean, maybe that'll help us put spotlight on that film also.
Absolutely.
So I think when the fear is the bounds, you take out that fear from your mind, the risk, go back to risk. It's okay. You will get failures, but if you stick long enough, maybe it'll work out.
Before I take the last question, I want to tell you my Stree story. I think my team also doesn't know this, but when the festival is just round the corner, you never have enough money. You're understaffed. You're kind of like 2 months of no sleeping or anything. You are timing your pee breaks at that point of time, so you can't watch movies. You literally miss everything that comes out from August to the end of October. And Stree came out, and I heard so much about it, and I really wanted a break. And the office was like a pressure cooker. So and how do you can't set this example, na? You can't say, "मैं film देखने जा रही हूँ, तुम लोग कर लेना." But I have lied to everyone in my office and said, I have this really important meeting. I'm putting off my phone, and I went and bought a ticket at La Rev. I think Kalpana Nair, who's my closest associate, also doesn't know this. Lied to everyone, went and saw the film, had a great time, came back and worked the whole night. So thank you guys for that. And keep making what you're making. The last question is Swadhin Patel. Can we unmute him, please? And we have to let them go after that. I'm so sorry. Go for it, Swadhin.
Am I audible?
Yes.
So my question was that when you are making a multilingual film or series, so how you manage the crews, the cast and crew, when you are making the multicultural or multilingual?
Suparn was the one facing multiple languages in front of him. What do you say?
I had a dream in my life to make, cinema where it was not just in Hindi. And I got the opportunity here. And here's the thing. When you're writing the script, you're writing an emotional beat. So the same thing could be said in a different language. The tonality will be the same. And we really, thanks to Mukesh Chabra, Suman, the way they went around getting the cast that has come in from the south of India for us has been exceptional. I mean, it's really come to life. So they know their stuff. As far as the crew is concerned, I mean, we all speak the same language. Everybody, end of the day, if you don't speak the same language as Hindi, at least you speak English. So it was simple to kind of communicate. And end of the day, everybody understands action. So, it's not really a big worry there. But follow the emotional beat of it. I mean, that's one learning I've had as a filmmaker. My journey began where I've not assisted anybody, right? So initially as a director, it's all about showing technique, that I can, do this with a camera and I can do this with sound and stuff like that. And slowly it's come down to just following the emotional beat of the story or saying what's the emotion, what's the scene trying to say. So similarly, language is never a barrier. You just follow the emotional beat of the scene, and it really works on that core. Just follow the emotion.
Okay, so guys, listen, these people are not only creating really good content, they're also people who are very sweet and have given us 20 more minutes. So I'm going to take a couple more questions. Can we please unmute? I'm just going to the list.
Can actually take a few questions if we keep the answer short. So we'll go fat.
Yes. Cut.
Like jaldi bhai.
Can we unmute Rihanna, please?
Hi.
Hi, go for it.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to interact. And my question is that in both the seasons of The Family Man, you portrayed a lot of politically sensitive issues in news like Kashmir and AFSPA and Sri Lanka and the Tamil Eelam and everything. So, and these issues are not just political, but they also have certain cultural and linguistic nuances that demand some kind of representation to be made in a sensitive way. So I wanted to know that when you're going through the writing process or portraying it, what is it that you do to give it that sensitivity it requires in an action comedy drama while also retaining the creativity?
Research. So number one is research and talk to not just one person, talk to all kinds of people, talk to everybody to get a 360 perspective of this. So it's not you're not like and not be biased about it, not like saying because this guy is more true than that guy. It's just more about get an idea. So when you talk to enough people and research enough, read enough, you will probably get a 360 view on that subject on that topic. So the idea again as filmmakers, I really believe, especially in a country like India, that it's better to there's a lot of responsibility in not propagating a certain stereotype or a certain misinformed thing. So you rather be somebody who is an observer than a person who comments on it and makes a statement about it. So our position has always been that just be observers, put it out there, and hence it's also kind of initially based on things that you read and write and you read and absorb. So it's really trying to be neutral and trying to be present at a balanced view on everybody gets to say a bit. You might not agree with it, you might agree with it, but when characters speak, different characters speak on all the sides, you will hopefully get a balanced view.
Raj's answer in 2 words: research and empathy.
Empathy. And characters, you look at them as characters. You really, more than anything else, you stay with them. You create a character. At the end of you're a storyteller. We're making movies on Homeland Security right now. We also made a movie about zombies also. So the idea is to
the only thing is you don't look at the world from the zombies perspective. Other than that, for every other character, other than that, for all live characters, you tell the story from their point of view.
If we have to make Go Gone 2, we might have to go zombies.
Yeah, how I became a zombie.
Yeah.
I'll finally come back as a zombie, which DK stole my role. I was supposed to be a zombie and not the boss. But now I'll be boss zombie.
We are all waiting for that whenever that happens. Can we unmute Niharika Dusi, please? Okay, Niharika has actually sent us a question on YouTube. She wants to know, is it important for the characters to be created before the scripting, or can the characters be found during the scripting stage?
Both. Because you have a certain idea of a character, almost 75 to 80%, you know when you develop the story. And then when I say story, I'm talking about the Bible, so to speak, right? So you have a fair idea of what this character's journey is going to be like. But then when you start getting into the nitty-gritty of it, when you start getting into the scripting stage of it, some more evolution happens, and that's how the characters evolve. I would go as far as saying that sometimes the characters evolve across seasons as well. So it's not like, because you create a character and it evolves, and after that you don't have control over that character, whether it's a novel or a film. You don't have control. You have to be very, very cognizant of the character's journey. So it is a never-ending process, especially in the series world. So there is no one answer to this. It's not like, we nail the character 100% and say, yeah, this is it, this is the character. That never happens. But of course, we have a great handle on the soul of the character, and further evolution obviously will keep happening, unless of course the character dies.
Sometimes the character starts speaking differently in the script, and we realize a few episodes down that this character is something else from what we thought about, and then you take a call saying, is this a better character or should we stick to the original character? And then you choose to do that.
Can we unmute Priyanka Shah, please?
Hello.
Hey Priyanka, go for it. You're audible.
Okay, hi. I just wanted to ask, how do you guys create a balance while writing or even directing? Because there are so many themes that you all are incorporating. Like there was humor, there was thrill, there was suspense, there was drama. And it's really easy for, say, humor to kill the drama and vice versa. And usually when there are so many themes, it can either be fatal or it can be a complete hit. So where and how did you guys find the balance?
I mean, a little bit of, mostly it's all kind of instinctive, right? As you're creating the story, as you're writing it, as you're directing it, a lot of it is instinctive. But I should say that I would like to go back to the example of Shore in the City. That's where we first were treading this kind of a ground. If you've seen the film Shore in the City, there are scenes there where it's all fun, where they're out in the fields testing a bomb and it's all fun. And next thing you know, 10 seconds later, you see a kid coming there and suddenly everything changes. So that's one of the first places where we were experimenting, going from a really serious tone to a really fun tone to a really serious tone, and then coming back and actually enhancing the experience rather than spoiling the experience. So it kind of, so once it all kind of worked out very well after a few trial and errors in Shore in the City. And then from there on, I think we've been cultivating that as an instinctive process. So it's worth trying. At least we are not afraid. I could say now, having done all this, I could say that now we are not afraid of trying humor in a serious scene, because we know that it has worked and it has worked out well. Yeah, but otherwise, yes, you need to kind of find the balance. You have to instinctively find the balance. You will make a few mistakes here and there.
But the trick is also in the amount of it. Never force it. Never ever force it. It has to be inherent. The base is laid out already. There is, these idiots want to test the bomb because they've never seen a bomb explode. So it is laid out already. There is a ghost that is hunting men. There's a base laid out already. So that it's Athar is a hyperactive kid who's better than his dad, and but who sucks at pretty much music and a lot of things. The base is laid out already. So when you have a strong base as to who this person is, when the guy is around, even in the most serious situations, the humor creeps in. Or even Shrikant Tiwari, who can lie at any point, and he's telling Milind this serious story, extremely serious story, and he comes out and JK says, "Oh, such tha kya?" And he looks at him like, "What the fuck do you think?" We still don't know if it's true or not. So the base of the characteristics are laid out so strongly that at any point, and JK is so middle class that he represents all of us, that he's always thinking of money and rental and this and that. He has to order juice and he's like, fine, fucking juice has come, he has to drink it before he has to rush. So the base is laid out for all the characters, hence the humor can seep through.
Can we please unmute Jai Shankar?
Longevity of the content.
Jai Shankar, can you repeat your question once? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Sir, how did you arrive at the longevity of the content? Like, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this word right. Longevity. Like, how
long can the story last is what you're saying, right? How do you make the story last so long? It's not easy, man. It's not easy at all. We've got 3 other shows going. We have no freaking clue what we're going to do in season 2. Absolutely no idea where they're going to go. So,
sir, I mean, what is the drive? For example, in Breaking Bad, it's the drug empire business which will drive throughout the seasons. And in Family Man, like what is that thing which drives the story throughout the seasons?
Family
I
Man,
mean, I think we have a
go
yeah,
on.
Family Man. We do have a canvas, right? We do have a canvas that is national security, and we have this great character. I mean, this great character and his family. So that's going to be the core of it. That's going to be the heart of it. And of course, the plot is something that we'll have to start building from with each season and perhaps take it to a next level. That's always the challenge.
The trick is that in the Family Man, we kind of lucked out. We didn't know that till we started writing season 2. That even you guys didn't know it till you started watching the trailer of season 2. That they're going to go to Chennai, and this is what's going to happen. Till then, what were people thinking is that you're going to pick up from the bomb blast in the factory, and then you're going to continue with the story as to what happens after the blast, after the factory blast in Delhi, and how is the story going to propagate from there. If we had stuck to that route, we would have run out of story, or we would have been hard to start building stuff in. Breaking Bad is a different point. Breaking Bad would be that. It's a continuation of a plot. Here, it is a slight, nice, interesting mix of continuation of characters, but a new problem has come in. So, in Family Man example, this works out very well, because now we know that it might not be the best of writing or whatever, but you know that you can create 10 seasons of the Family Man if you want, because you can see the premise, you can see the characters, you can see how to create various plot points. Now, can I create 10 episodes of Breaking Bad? I won't know. You might run out of story in 3 episodes, because that's all the story you have. So,
okay, so I'm going to wrap the session up by just asking you things that people are asking on that group, which is that, of course, DK, you've shared the email ID where everyone can send in material that they want to send. So the questions are, can we send you movie scripts? Can we send you short film scripts? And what is the format in which you would be most happy getting this material on the email ID that you've shared?
Yeah, I've kind of already answered it. Short film scripts are not really of, much purpose, right? I mean, I would rather see you guys make a short film and, show the short film.
Shorts don't need our help. Shorts can be done by yourself. You just need your phone camera and you can shoot it, is what I feel.
Yeah. Once you make a short film, and then if you have a movie script, also, again, I think I answered it kind of. I mean, I know it's a lot of messages that please don't share a movie script yet. Use this email ID for anything, just to say hi, introduce yourself, send a picture, send a pitch, send a synopsis, whatever it is. But think of it as an initial introduction. And then, somebody will respond, one of us will respond. And, if it's going further, at some point we'll ask for a script, but please don't share a 120-page script right away. It's a huge assignment after that.
Basically, it's not a production company where we want to produce a lot of films. The idea is that if somebody has a nice script and they need help to get it going, and they think it is a unique script and something that will stand out in these times, especially when there's so much content, and if you have a really great idea and then you want help, even if you have half-baked script, but that not half-baked, but Dika won't like that idea. But I'm just saying that the idea is great. Let's say if you send a blurb of it, just a blurb, and your pitch as to why do you think they should be, or what is it unique about it, or how do you see it to, this is a little bit, just 2 paragraphs is enough. So if that is something interesting, we'll reply and ask for more.
Yeah.
Raj, TK, do you reply to everything? Is there a standard reply that goes out?
Standard reply? No, we try to
there
reply.
Was
I mean, people
that said, thank you for your submission and we'll get back to you soon. But that didn't make any sense, because that will be like, everybody will hate you more. Automated reply. So consider it read, please, because it's a lot of work, and it's not it's not like everybody's overloaded with work, but we will read it. And if it's anything that we see potential and enticing, or anything we can do, it's our kind or not, it doesn't have to be our kind, it's something that we can produce, then we will reply.
Yeah, and if it also comes, a lot of times what we also look for is not just a script, right? I mean, if you're sending a script for us to direct, it's that's probably not the best thing. But if you have a film that you want to make, and you're kind of very self-sufficient in how you're going to make it, but you need our support in a little bit, that would be the most ideal scenario, because you have a great script you want to make, and you have the passion to make it, you have the talent to make it, and you need that little support. That would be, yeah.
Yeah, we do take student interns and stuff. Usually a lot of people have converted from there to full time, and some have gone on to better things.
Now, that's one of the questions there. I think do you take student interns to assist in your projects?
Send us a quick profile. Again, a write-up would really help than a resume. Sure, attach it. But if you just write a little 2-paragraph thing, we get a lot of sense of where you're coming from. So it's just a nice letter or some kind of thing as to why, who you are, what you want to do, why. We'll get an idea. There's always somebody, we're a mix of 50-50, 50 people, 50% are first timers in our team and 50% are experienced. So
listen, thank you so much. Can I request everyone to look into the camera? We just need to take a master shot. Thank you so much, Suman, DK, Raj, Suparn, for giving us your time. And thank you to everyone for joining us today for the session. On the 26th at 12 noon, we have the team of Sherni, the writing team of Sherni joining us. So, join us for that on YouTube. But thank you so much for this session. And thank you for giving us so much time in the middle of this. And thank you so much for Family Man.
Thank you, guys.